Death be not proud.
Well, alright, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. It's time for the Holy Diver Show. I'm bringing back the classic hobby ramble today. Got a little announcement. I have changed my YouTube handle name to Angry Tabletop Nerd, mostly because I'm spending more time on a different platform and I'm not putting out as much on YouTube. So, I'm sitting over there on Rumble. That's where a lot of my battle reports are going to go. And that's where a lot of my live streams are going to go. And I'm going to do some content on YouTube, but I'm just going to put more of my time into Rumble. But the Holy Diver Show, of course, goes on both platforms. So here we are today. And let's just get into it. The topic today is talking about wargaming on a budget. And this was a topic on the Shadow and Sun Wargaming show. And shout out to Shadow and Sun. And they were just talking about, like, what if you're broke and you have no money? Well, if you're broke and you have no money, the last thing you should be worried about is role-playing RPGs, video games, and playing any kind of tabletop game, all right? So let's just put ourselves in a scenario. We're going to set a few parameters. One, you're going to be 17 to 24 years old, and you flip burgers, bag groceries, or better yet, you mow lawns, all right? And you and a buddy want to get into playing war games, and we're going to leave games like Malifaux and Hordes and Necromunda. We're going to leave those off of the list because they don't really fall into the spectrum for wargaming. They fall into the spectrum for tabletop gaming or, a lot like Dungeons and Dragons if you're using miniatures tabletop RPG, but not really a full-on, full-scale wargaming. What can you buy? What lines and systems should you use? Let's say you have a job and you got roughly $300 a month that you can just blow because you're living at home, or you have a different situation that allows you to blow $300 on wargaming. Well, you're also going to need, let's say you do pay rent and you have a car payment and you only got $150 to $200. Well, you're going to have to save up for a little while then, You're going to have to put that $200 away. Next month, you get your $200 and then you go and you make your purchases, all right? This isn't rocket science. If you're 17 to 24 years old and you're not spending at least 30, I'm just going to give you the bare minimum, 30 hours a week at work, and you don't have $300 to spend, kill yourself, all right? You already know where we're going when you come into one of these videos anyway. You're just going to have to go and kill yourself. You've got to have bread as a young man. Otherwise, you don't really have anything. And, I don't care if you're a penniless student. I worked full-time and went to school full-time. It can be done, and you might have to forego having a hobby if, you're becoming an engineer or something like that and you actually have a physically taxing demand on you, The second hobby you should be either having a job or weightlifting at that point. Or get a second job if you don't have $300 a month to spend, because it doesn't matter what you do. Anything that you do is tied to a certain dollar amount. If you want to go out and eat dinner, well, you have to have at least $15 to go out and buy dinner at a restaurant. Or, unless you're going to buy a crappy pizza at the Little Caesars or something like that. If you are male, you should be out of the house working at least 30 hours a week. I am not talking about the lazy, soft-hitted, chicken tendy eating, basement dwelling, magic card collecting voyeur who thinks about getting into miniature wargaming but won't because it may require work with hand tools. We know just how much Moloch hates it when you aren't distracted by the Rub Hubs, Geek and Sundry, Sci-Fi Wire, or just not consuming media for the sake of YouTube collecting its ad revenue. I am not talking to the soft-chinned, fuzzy-necked Bobby Hill backpack boy types. All right? I'm talking to those who are serious, all right, about You've seen people playing in stores, and you this is for you. You've arrived to it. This is something that you've arrived to. Again, one of the questions on some of these other channels and stuff that I've been watching, is how do you get the young guys into it? Some guys have organized a library night where some certain games are played and they roll them out in the public libraries or something like that, But again, wargaming is something that is not for everybody. You have to arrive at wargaming. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to play 40K, and then you go into a store and then it's like, oh, that box of orcs over there will cost you $65, and you're just basically, well, I guess I can go buy an Xbox game or something like that. I mean, this is why video games win, but video games, they have their place. I mean, at least with me, I mean, I've never moved past the Super Nintendo for a lot of years. I'd rather spend my time painting some models or something like that. So if you've done your homework and you've watched some of the bigger channels like Tabletop Tactics or Play on Table or Mini Wargaming, which are some of the ones that just come to mind, you would know that 40K, AOS, and some WW2 are pretty much the top tier games. I mean, Flames of War has been around forever, so has Bolt Action, but I'm not really going to get into the scope of those because that's kind of a different route. I mean, let's say you're more sci-fi or fantasy oriented than than the rest of the people who might be older playing World War II or something like that. So usually an older demographic. So we're going to omit that one. I will say, because of the meta chase in 40K, the price tag on 40K is really obscene. Now, you can start a 1,000-point army and play the shit out of the game, and you could stop there. But I mean, one thing that I fault 40K on is the meta chase. I mean, as much as I enjoy a good game of 40K, the meta chase has kind of killed the game to a certain extent. Even if you are a current collector, your collection at any given time could literally be a thin slice of what you own, which means you got to go back to the store and buy that thin slice over and over again because it's good in the moment. And, that's especially as an orc player, that's a lot of things, And to give an example of this is like, okay, now in 10th edition 40K, orc knobs, they're actually good again. But, I should make the argument that over the course of 20 to 21 years that I've been playing war games, orc knobs, they should have always been good in every edition. And this is the problem. This comes down to like poor writing, and it has nothing to do with tactics. I remember when orc knobs basically just had a 4+ armor save, which you had to pay for. And then they came out of the truck, they got dusted, and that was it. You either made it into combat with them or you didn't. I mean, heaven forbid you have the 5+ ward save, the 5+ feel no pain, and the 4+ armor save before all that, So there really shouldn't have ever been a time where orc knobs aren't good in the game. If I have 6 mega knobs in one truck and 6 mega knobs in another truck, those things should really literally get across the table every single game and mess up a portion of your enemy's army regardless of the circumstances. Unfortunately, with the way the special rules stack and everything, that's really not the case all the time anymore, I mean, sure, everything is how you use it, but they should have given certain things the rules that they need to be successful. And that's one lacking part of 40K across the board, unless you're a Marine player and they hand you a rule like Oath of Moment, and then they had to later on go on and nerf it and make it worse, but it's still pretty good that you get to choose one target that you auto get to delete because everything rerolls to hit it. I mean, that's just kind of rules that happen as executive orders. Kind of put a sour taste in our mouth as a group and everything. It's like, oh, it's all of these things just sort of happen. There's nothing I can do about it. And when I can do something about it, oh, I only have like a -2 on my armor penetration, and it can get really tedious at times. Now orcs are a good army. I hear nothing but good things about them on the internet, but I guess I want to say that the people that I play with, they're kind of S-tier players. And they figure shit out really quick just to spite me, whereas like I just want to be an orc and smash things, but they're not going to let me do that. All right. So let's avoid the flagship products, AOS, 40K, Kill Team, Warcry, and Necromunda for now. Let's just avoid those, you know. A lot of people's first experience with wargaming is they go into their local games workshop. That's how it is for a lot of people. And, you know, they go in there with a friend or something like that, and then what's this guy doing? He's immediately pushing things on you, like 40K or useless start collecting boxes, you know. And the problem with a lot of these boxes is nothing's really good in any of those boxes, you know, half of the time. You know, it's like, oh, you know, did they come out with a starter box for the orcs that has 6 Squig Hog Boys, 2 Rucka Truck Squig Buggies, 10 Beast Snagga Boys, and a Beast Boss? Well, no, they haven't. You have to buy all that stuff separately, you know, and that's a problem. That's a problem because that's kind of what's good right now, you know. I mean, they've been selling the same crummy box set forever. I do think that the last box set that I bought for 9th edition when it finally came out with the new boys, and I thought that was pretty good. You got a unit of copters, you got 2 units of boys, you got a Death Dread, and a War Boss in Mega Armor. It wasn't bad. All right. So, you know, I'm going to suggest that you go over and you play, you go over and you look at the Lord of the Rings range. And, you know, the Lord of the Rings range, you know, it has a lot of charm to it, and it doesn't really require significant investment. You know, a box of Kill Team will cost you $65 for the orcs, whereas a start collecting box, you know, that's $90 for 32 plastic miniatures. You're getting a commander on foot, you're getting a commander on horseback. That's why you have the weird number, you know. So you're getting 30 soldiers in your box. And then if you go over to the Isengard one, that's 48 miniatures in one single box, you know. And, you know, I mean, when you're 17 to 24, you should really have no trouble spending $180. And I'm going to say you're going to want to go on this route here. And just hear me out on this. The miniatures are sculpted by the Perrys. They're really high quality miniatures. And you can get a lot of uses out of these guys. You can use these guys for a Dungeons and Dragons game. You can use these guys for, let's just look at some of the cavalry here. Boom. We'll pull that one up. You know, you can use these guys for a lot of different uses, and the best part about these guys is they're very easy to build. You know, this guy is literally a base, the shield, and I think you glue the spear arm on, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I think this spear here is literally just I think you just stick it on, but I think it's already sculpted onto the miniature itself. You know, so you clean the miniature up and you stick it on its base, and now you're not out a great deal of time building your army. And if you watch any tutorials on dry brushing, this is relatively achievable for a beginner. You know, and I just want to point out that the Rohan Battle Host is 32 models at $2.81 a guy. The Isengard Battle Host is 48 dudes, $1.88 per guy. And that's a pretty good value, especially if you're going to double up on the 2 boxes. You leave, and then not only can you play SBG, you can find an old book for War of the Ring and play that as well. You can also spend $36 at Mantic.com and buy yourself some movement trays, the 20mm movement trays and the 25mm movement trays, and you can use those to form regiments. You can not only play Kings of War, but you can also play Hail Caesar. And, you know, I mean, or you can go online, find a 3D printer where you can stick circles into a square base or something like that, because everybody starts on a square base. But this gives you a lot of versatility. You know, you can also take these miniatures over to Dungeons and Dragons. You know, you can take this, what do you call it? Let's see, where is he? Aramir on foot. There he is, right here. You can take this guy and be like, oh, now I'm a second level fighter in Dungeons and Dragons, and then you could take some of the orcs from the Isengard kit and use those as monsters in your dungeon. You know, so you got a lot of versatility here, and not a huge investment on time. You know, and that's really important because younger dudes, their attention span is in the toilet these days. TikTok has literally ruined us as a civilization. You know, you think in like 15-minute sound bites, and, you know, it's like you start reading a rule book, and even my eyes go cross-eyed. You know, I have a rule book over there for Necromunda that I got to start sitting down and reading so that I can actually play a little bit better. I've got a rule book that I've got to finish reading for Mordheim, and it just kind of stacks, you know. So you just kind of want to keep things simple. Now, if you head over to eBay and you need tools, let's say you leave with $180 in purchase, and the guy's like, well, you'll be back because you need tools in order to build this stuff. Well, you can get everything you need right here, you know. All right, there's a couple of, there's X-Acto knives, files, blades, clippers, tweezers, files over here. You know, you've got everything you need for 16 bucks. That's pretty much an auto include. You know, what is this? This is the Gundam Modeler Basic Tool Set, Craft Car, Model, Hobby Building, Repairing. There you go. You got all of this stuff in one. I don't know what these things up top are. They look like Dremels, but you get everything that you need in one kit, basically. You're getting the knife, you're getting the metal files, you're getting the blades, you're getting the tweezers, and you're getting the clippers. You get all that relatively cheap. I do not recommend that you buy those at a Games Workshop, you know. So with the exception of glue and zip kicker, you're basically out the door for, you know, less than 300 bucks if you buy the two sets and, you know, you buy the tools. You buy your glue, and let's say you go through, you assemble everything, and you discover that this is working, you don't like it, you know, you'll recover from that, you know. You can just throw everything away or do it or smash it with a hammer. It doesn't really matter at that point. But let's say you persevere and you go over and you pick yourself up a batch of the Hail Caesar's Rules. Look at that. That first edition book right there is on sale for $5 with shipping. Now, there isn't a great deal of difference between the second edition and first edition, but you know, we're looking for something on the cheap, and so we're sticking into the parameter of the used category here because you want a system with which to play your miniatures. All right, you skip forward 2 months and you decide that you might want to paint your collection. Well, you know, I don't have to tell you that, you know, we live in the age of Google, and Big Daddy Internet can give you all kinds of tutorials on how to paint everything, and then, you know, you go and you buy some primer, you buy the speed paint kit, you know, you'll probably, I mean, in your journeys, you'll probably learn about speed paints really quickly. And, you know, I've been using some of these things lately. The Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 Enchanted Steel is one hell of a color. You know, and sitting down and learning how to paint your miniatures isn't that hard, but you're not going to be able to do that with the speed paints over at a Games Workshop place, you know. I mean, and for only $152, you can pick up the whole set, and that's, again, why you need the movable disposable income, because it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to spend $65 on 10 guys that are literally boutique level guys, and then you basically mess them up because you didn't build them properly. You know, again, the Lord of the Rings miniatures, I mean, literally this guy is 3 pieces. Four pieces. He's a shield, he's a dude, he's a horse, and then you glue him to a base. All right, that's 4 pieces. Shield, dude, horse, base. Real freaking easy to use there, and you're not going to screw that up a lot, you know. So, you know, you move forward and you find some tutorials that you like, and then you might spend anywhere from $60 to $100 on brushes. Again, that goes into the whole disposable income category. However, let's say you and a friend are just down for the vibe of 40K. Well, I recommend 30K. I completely and totally recommend 30K just out the door. Now, you can find the Age of Darkness box set from anywhere from $200 to $310. If you go directly to the source, it's going to cost you $310 at Games Workshop. I've seen it as low as $250 on Walmart.com. So you're getting a pretty significant discount there if you just go to Walmart.com. You order it on Walmart.com, it shows up, bada bing, bada boom, you're in. And you and your friends should each buy one Age of Darkness box set, because sharing it gets a little complicated. You know, who gets the Spartan? You know, whereas like you both have everything, and you have everything that you need to play indefinitely for a while. And you and your friend decide where you go with that, you know, and it's always you and a friend, you know, because trying to go into this raw is really hard. You know, I mean, you're going to have to do a lot more research, but you and a friend sitting down figuring out the game together, that's way better. So, you know, I mean, now back in the 90s when I got the Dragon Strike game, I'd get the game set up and then everybody like, well, I think I hear my mom calling. You know, you get the game set up. That took like 30 minutes to get the game set up, and then all of a sudden, this looks kind of hard. Let's do something else. So you go downstairs and you start playing the Super Nintendo. Nobody wants to play the board game anymore. You know, you also got to deal with people like that. So it's better if you can drag one person into hell with you. With the exception of buying two $70 codexes, one has all the good armies, one has all the bad armies in it. You know, the rules, you know, the Age of Darkness gives you everything that you need, and I'm going to say that 30K itself is really more or less the true 40K. And hear me out on this, you know, you don't have a lot of codex releases that shift the meta and make things in your own collection irrelevant, because that's the new hotness, and that's what they're going to be taking. And you also don't have any tournament Arcs of Omen FAQ books coming out that shift the meta even further. It could be 5 to 7 years before you see a 3rd edition 30K book come out. And the thing that I like about 30K is that, you know, all of the armies are just kind of standardized and they draw from the same equipment lists. And it just depends on you, the player, how much you want to spend. If you want to go over to Forge World and buy more expensive equipment for your army to use, you can do that. But other than that, you pretty much have everything. And, you know, if you guys are evenly matched, it just kind of comes down to who the better player is. I'm not saying that this game can't be played at a higher, more competitive level. It can be. It most certainly can be. And it can be turned up to 11 pretty hard. But, you know, the game moves a lot faster than 40K. Oh, it's like, oh, well, these las cannons here are twin links, so I'm going to reroll to hit you. Now I'm going to roll to wound you. I compare my strength of my weapon to your toughness, and I need a 4. It turns out I need a 4 because you're toughness 9, I'm strength 9. I roll. Oh, look, I got 1 wound, and I was able to get a glancing hit on your vehicle or something, or do a wound to your contemptor. Yay, las cannon. You know, so you have I'd have to say, once you get the hang of it, a faster paced version of the game. Way faster, and it moves a lot faster. I have, you know, with the exception of my first game, I haven't had a game of 30K last really more than 3 turns, 4 turns tops. It's pretty much over by then, you know, and that's a good thing. Now, if you are like me and you don't like playing at an FLGS, you know, and you play in a basement, well, you know, you're going to have to look into having a table and some terrain. Now, a table out the door, just out the door, is going to cost you $300. It's, you know, you're going to have to buy the plywood, the 6x4 piece of plywood, which is what I recommend. And then I say that you should buy not only the plywood, but another 6x4 piece of particle board to put over that to give your table some weight so that you can put your hands down on it and it won't move, and then you have a 6-foot table. So all of that usually comes with a price tag of around $80 to $100. There are there are better setups than that. There are gaming tables that have been developed to be 6x4, but that's just the standard that I use. I bought big old 6x4 piece of plywood that's pretty straight, but big old piece of what do you call it? Particle board, cut it into 2x4 sections, 3 pieces, and you could lay a mat over that, and you'll have a pretty weighted down table that isn't really going to go anywhere. That's somewhat, and if you cut that plywood in half, you have something that's somewhat modular, though heavy, that you can just stick under your bed. You don't have to decorate the panels like I did. You know, there's many levels of getting into this, but I think that you should have a table. But the problem is, it depends on what you're playing. If you're playing Hail Caesar or Kings of War, well, you only need 2 forests, 2 hills, and maybe a hut or something like that out in the middle of the field somewhere to give yourself some terrain to make room for the units. And if you're playing 30K or 40K, well, you're going to need a more expensive kit of terrain, and there's a lot of pre-painted lines like from Frontline or GameMat.eu, but they carry a significant price tag. And again, that's why I said you can't do anything unless you have a disposable income. End of story. You know, you got to have that income, otherwise it's just not going to come through for you. You know, you'll be playing at the FLGS forever, and you might decide that you might not like the FLGS or playing at the Games Workshop store, because you could have an asshole store manager that would be all like, well, I don't want you guys playing Hail Caesar in my store, even though you're using Games Workshop miniatures. Yes, there could be one guy there who is that big of a frickin' dick that he just like, well, you're not playing that game here. Thank you for coming to GameStop. So we're going to move on to the next game past Hail Caesar. We're going to talk about Kings of War for a second. Now, I think that the 2-player starter boxes are kind of boring. They're terrible. I think they should be bigger starter boxes, containing at least a 1,500 point army a piece, because what you're given in the starter boxes, and this is where I ding Mantic a little bit, is it's pretty static. It's just pretty static and everything, so we can go over here. The best choice you got are the mega armies, and you're getting 6 trolls, you're getting 2 of these, 10 wolf riders, and 40 goblins. There you go. Not to mention the general and a giant, as you can see there. And it also tells you, so 80 hard plastic goblin infantry, 16 hard plastic maw pups. You're getting 16 of these guys right here. Hard plastic maw pups. You're getting 6 trolls, 10 plastic fleabag riders, a resin goblin king, and a PVC giant. Let's take a look at the giant there. You're getting that guy. And the giant isn't bad looking either. But, you're getting all this for $165. That's 130 models. And that's roughly $1.27 a guy. Yeah, if you round up for everything. And now, however, 130 models might be too much of a commitment to you. And these guys are also harder to build. As you can see here, they require a little bit more of a time investment on the sprue and everything. And and you might have, and if you're in your late teens, early 20s, you might have to get back on the rub hubs, and then your attention is elsewhere indefinitely, Not to mention painting 130 guys. That's also a pretty big commitment. Not saying it can't be done by someone who's new, but, again, this is why I kind of pushed the Lord of the Rings brand out there, because they're just so easy to build, and if you're a first-timer, you kind of need to have that easy access, because even the kill team sets have given me hell. Even some of the newer sets for like the Squig Hog boys. I got a couple of guys whose hands are not in the right place on the squig, and it looks kind of funny. And I know, and now you know, and Autism knows because I told you, and now I know that you know that I know, So, that you've got less of a minimal time investment before you're up and playing. And that's kind of important too, and you get to sample more things when you have things built and on bases. Not to mention, if you put them on movement trays, you have a whole other world of things that you can do. Now, Kings of War is an excellent system for the instant society that we live in. And, the only place where I ding it is that it can feel like a little bit of a game of power checkers from time to time. My entire goal is to hopefully either shoot parts of your army away and then charge you, or just walk across the table with a bunch of trolls and rip your face off. That's what trolls and giants do, if you're going to play a goblin army in Kings of War, I suggest 3 hordes of trolls and a giant and a gooch. I suggest all of that good stuff, You use goblins to kind of just hold up the line somewhere until your trolls can come out and deal with it, Or you can go all troll. Just bring 5 hordes of trolls, and then everything else is just a bunch of fleabag rider troops that shoot you and get in the way and hopefully tie things up, Of course, what am I talking about? I haven't played I haven't played that game for a year. So next, we can go over to Parabellum Wargaming and everything. And now this is a little bit more price intensive, but, Conquest Last Argument of Kings, pretty good game. The 38mm size of the models may look a little bit off to some people, but, it bothers me way less now. When I first saw them, I'm like, oh, that's stupid. Those things are huge. They're like they're half the size of a full-grown G.I. Joe, the 3.5-incher ones, And, I didn't think that the game would go anywhere. Then I gave the game a try, and, I'm thoroughly happy with how the game plays and everything like that. So if you and your friend are looking for a solid game, I suggest looking at, what do you call it? Conquest Last Argument of Kings, but I don't recommend this game for beginning hobbyists because, the last kit that I tangled with, I had to get my friend to go and build, I had to get him to build 12 of these guys. Now, this particular variant isn't really hard, but where I struggled is with these two-hand MFers right here. Lining up the arms and the wrists, I couldn't do it for some reason. I literally freaking couldn't do it. And he's like, you had trouble with this? And he's like, God damn it, you're retarded. And yes, I did have I did have a lot of trouble with that one particular kit. And painting in 38 millimeter might be a little easier for a newer player. There are ways to do it, but I think this would be a second priority, and the box. And if you're interested in the 100 Kingdoms, get this box. Don't waste your time with anything else because this box literally does give you every ounce of cavalry that you need. You're getting 2 boxes of the Order of the Ashen Dawn. You're getting 2 boxes of the Crimson Tower, the Order of the Crimson Tower. Not to mention you're getting 2 boxes of Squires, a Mounted Noble Lord, a Priority Commander, the book, and then you're getting the what do you call it? First Blood rule book, and then you're also getting what do you call that? The 4 boxes. You're getting 4 boxes, which means you're getting 12 household knights. And then whatever you want to add to... Now, that army is basically a cavalry army, and this will look good once you get it all painted. But again, this is an investment in time, and I recommend this as maybe your 3rd or 4th army project. Not something that you want to get tangled up with right away. Unless you're going to hire a commission dude to take care of it for you. I do favor the 1-player starter boxes over anything. Just simply because look at all that you get for $500. Again, this is why you have to have income and a job. Even 3D printers could cost you as much as $1,500. And you don't really see a lot of 3D printing for this game. And this game was also written by the same guy who wrote Kings of War, and it's kind of more of a grown-up version of Kings of War and everything, and it's a little bit harder paced, a little bit heavier hitting. I can't wait to play it again. I tried to buy a ticket down for the Las Vegas Open. When I got up on Christmas Eve to go buy my ticket, it was locked. It was all sold out. So, and this is a limited time offer. So, they got that FOMO marketing right up there for you. And the coolest thing about Parabellum is their range of models. They went bigger than GW, which I kind of find hilarious because when they were size creeping the Space Marine, I knew it would just be a matter of time before they decided to get rid of the Space Marine Tactical Squad in general, which they have done. It's all 32 millimeter Primaris Space Marines now. And Conquest is also set in this imaginative setting where so imaginative that I haven't seen it in a long while. They went out, they made up their own world, and it kind of works, and it's kind of interesting. There's no elves, but there's dwarves, there's orcs riding dinosaurs, and there's the Spire, which are an alien race not native to the world that they live in, So they went out and they kind of did their own thing, and it's working for them. You don't see a lot of 3D printing for Conquest Last Argument of Kings. I don't know if your friend would be willing to follow you to this level of hell. So let's backtrack and go into our showcase portion of the game and everything. And I've written up some rules for what you would put in your division and everything, and I think we're just going to go with that, and we'll take a look and we'll be back. So I just wanted to talk real quickly before I get into the showcase what constitutes a division in Hail Caesar. A division is usually anywhere from 4 to 5 units all inside of one little division. They stay within 6 inches of each other, and this is literally everything you need to play. Not to mention you got some skirmishers if you want the option of, and then a commander. That's all that's in a division for Hail Caesar, and that's why I'm kind of pushing this game, simply because of the ease of use. Now, over here you have 2 units of heavy warriors, right here with the 2 units of Rohan guys here, and then you have 2 units of heavy cavalry with a commander and a unit of medium archers. Now, the rules that I've chosen to do for the cavalry here is they're given the standard heavy cavalry rules, which is Clash of 9. So they have 9 attacks when they charge, sustained of 6. When they support, they have 3 attacks, and they have a armor save of 4+ and a stamina of 6. All right. The special rules for these guys is drilled, which means you get to move once on a failed order. Elite, recover from disorder on a 4+. Lance, which is on which is -1 to the armor save when they charge. They're also brave, which means on a 4+, they heal 1 casualty constantly at the beginning of every turn. And then you have the heavy infantry, which is Clash of 7, sustained of 7, short range of 3. And then you have the, of course, the armor save of 4+ and the stamina of 6. Drilled elite. And that's where I kind of stopped with those guys. And then over here, of course, you have the archers. And these guys, well, they're just, they got a Clash of 5, sustained of 5. A short range, which is like if they're supporting a unit in combat, and you've got long range, they can shoot 3 shots basically, you know. And I gave them marksman, which allows them to reroll 1 shot. So you roll 3 dice, you get to reroll 1 of them, and that's not that bad. Now for the Urukai, which I don't own any Urukai. I guess I could have put out my Mordor guys and everything. I did the Urukai unit just a little bit differently. I don't know how well you'll see that there. Now I gave them their heavy infantry, Clash of 7, short of 4. I upped so if they're supporting a unit, because I figured they had pikes, they would get an extra support of 4. And then they have a morale save and a stamina of 6+, all right? They're drilled, so they get a free move. They're elite. Not to mention they have pikes, which disorder cavalry, and they also have phalanx, which is +2 to combat results. So you'll have enough to make a 12-man unit of Urukai pikemen if you bought 2 boxes of those guys, and then you would have 2 units of heavy Urukai infantry, not the scouts, but these guys are drilled elite, wild fighter, and you would have the first round of CQC, you get to miss 2 hits, you know. And so going down, you have 1 Urukai, what is this, with the crossbows. And these guys, you have the Clash of 6, the sustained of 5, long range, short, same as the archers. They don't really have any special rules. And then you have the Urukai warband. These guys are using the warband special rules, which means they got a Clash of 8. And these are what I'm using the scouts for. And you've got a short range of 2, 5+ morale save, stamina 6. And these guys have wild fighters 3. And then they're also eager. They're fanatic 1, you know. So it's whatever special rules in the book that you want to use that go under useful rules you can make for your divisions. And it's just a real easy way to get a taste for what wargaming is actually like without spending a lot of time or money. Now, you'll be out the time it takes to paint them, but to build this just and put it in trays and try it out, not a huge commitment. And that's pretty much all I've got for the showcase there. So now that we're back, I'm not bashing games like Necromunda, Hordes, War Machine, or Malifaux. I'm just putting them in a different bracket from full-scale mass combat systems. And that's kind of what a war game is to me. Everything else kind of goes under the category of tabletop game, you know. So right now, me and my group have been playing a game called Mordheim. And we're going to go back to Mordheim next week. We've been playing Necromunda. And those are really great games. They're just, you know, they're also kind of carrying that same kind of heavy price tag that a lot of the Games Workshop standalone games carry at a smaller scale, you know. I mean, the Kill Team Orcs are $65. The House Escher girls, they're about like $42 starting on eBay and everything. So, you know, just steering you away from that. How do, you know, if Games Workshop is your only exposure, what way do I steer you? Well, I would like it to be steered towards the Lord of the Rings range because, hey, let's face it, you know, taking a guy off the sprue, cleaning him up, putting him on a horse. Oh, the horse is 2 pieces, sorry. Might be 3. You know, and just gluing them together, putting them down on the base, and, you know, you were done in less than, let's say you were done in less than 5 minutes for your first horseman. Well, now you can move on and build all 6 of them, you know, and that was basically 30 minutes of a podcast that you listen to, and then when you look up after an hour, all of your one box of your Rohan guys are done. Well, that's a better spot to be, you know. So, you know, I just, I wanted, and the reason why I was like, let's see, you know, you go and you get your tools on eBay and everything, and then you go to eBay and you pick up a used book and you give something else a try. And I think Hail Caesar is a good starting point there. Same with Kings of War once you got the right movement trays down. Again, especially Kings of War, if you just want to get out of the box and start playing, you know, and figuring things out. In the instant society we live in, Kings of War is a great system for that, you know. And I don't want to discount any of the World War II games out there. The Band of Brothers, the Gentleman's War, or the Island Assault box sets for bolt action are also good starting points. But again, you're kind of stuck in that same thing. But if you want to go exploratory mode, I do suggest World War II. I do suggest World War II, even though it's a much more scaled down war game, you know. But there are box sets out there that could, like the Stalingrad box set. I still want one. The D-Day box set. I still want one. There's a lot of good stuff out there, you know. So, well, with that said, anyway, as you know, if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me on Instagram. DMs are basically the best way to get in touch with me if you have any questions. Don't forget to leave a comment below, and I will do my best to answer it, as always. The socials, YouTube and Rumble, have many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, but if you want to help me out, consider subscribing to my Rumble page, Soy Free Warhammer. That's where I'm spending the majority of my time for moving forward. Not to mention, Soy Free Warhammer, my Rumble page, is the home of all my battle reports. And until I see you again, keep playing, keep fighting, and stay metal, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one.
When on.
I friggin' sold out. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.